Okay, so I'm going to review the testing engine, and just so you're aware, the testing engine functions as the testing engine, but what sources the testing questions or the questions within the testing engine is the question bank. So the first thing that I want to cover is the question bank, because the first thing that you'll do whenever you're building a test is create your questions to go into the test. So for example, whenever let me preface this by saying that if you are going to build a test, it would be wise to create an Excel document, and I'll call this column question, and we'll say this is correct. And this way, you can enter or go ahead and put whatever your questions are within that you want for the test. So you can have them in one document and use that as a reference. And it'll go a lot quicker. You don't have to use Excel. I'm just used to using Excel. So if I said, what color is the sky? And for my correct response, I could say blue.
3 incorrect answers. Yeah.
And then I can have a reference number. I recommend having a reference number that is just so you have something, because the system is going to ask for a reference number. So I'll add another question. What color are clouds? We'll say white, gray. And this is something that
you are typing in this, but we could just pull from the set of questions.
This is actually creating questions. We created our own questions.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. I'd have to log in. Let me log in as Varsha to see, because I know she'll have the same rights as you. Yeah, so whenever you log in, you won't see any tests, and chances are you won't see any questions within the question bank. So, so this is all going to be clear just for you, and you can use questions that are in the content. Like if you want to copy a question that's in one of the existing tests, you can do that.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to create a new question. And I didn't select the category, so I'm going to go back. And my category, if I'm going to click create a new category, and I'm going to call this safety, and I'll have a reference number of say 01 or 001. Looks like that already exists. Oh, that category already exists. So we'll call this Trinity Safety.
Okay.
And we've got thousands of questions in the question bank already. So even though you can't see a question or a category, if you copy a category that's already existing, it will let you know. So, so if I come back here, going back to where I was before with organizing your content. So if you create a document and it has all of your safety questions, then you can organize these questions into, for example, this group will be safety questions. And whenever you're building the test, it will help with building the test because you'll pull tests. You'll be able to select which category you want to pull tests from or questions from.
All right.
So I'm going to click create new question. And we'll call this what colors sky. And the types of questions that we can build a yes or no question, a true or false question, multiple choice, single answer, multiple choice, multiple answer, text only. Free form is something I don't really recommend doing because it has to have somebody that physically grades the response.
Right.
And click on image is something I have not used. So I don't know how efficient that would be. So for the first choice, I'm going to choose multiple choice single answer.
All right.
And I'm going to click the button add response choice. And we'll call this blue. And I'll select this because that's going to be my correct response. And I always want this response to display. The second response will be red, green, purple, orange. So the reason why I have all these responses, let's say if I always want red and blue to show up, then I can select always display. This is getting a little bit complicated. I'm going to show you the complicated part, then I'll show you the simple part. So if you select this, it's going to select random answer selection, show a subset of a larger group of numbers. So in this, I have a set of 6 numbers. So if I want 4 to show, then it's going to pick 4 of these randomly, but it will always show these 2.
All right. Oh, this is
okay. Right.
And I can have an answer explanation. So I can say the sky is blue. And then I'll select my category for safety and then click submit. And so now I have one question and I'll create a new question. What color are clouds? I'm going to use a similar reference number. And this time I'm going to choose multiple choice, multiple answer. And I'll say white, gray, black, red. We'll say white and gray are going to be my correct responses. And
but you clicked all always display for all of them?
4. Yeah, there's 4 of them.
right.
If you have
So I want all of them to display. So select my category and then submit. And so now I have 2 questions in my question bank. So now I can build, well, I'll show you a couple of things here. I can edit. If you want to edit, you click the edit icon. If you want to copy, you click the copy icon. If you want to view what it looks like, then you can click the view icon. It will display what it will look like whenever it's being displayed on the exam. Now, once you have all your questions in the bank, then you can build your test. So if we go to Content Test Engine, we'll click Create New Test. I'll call this Basic Test. We'll select the provider as Martech Media Trinity. You can associate hours if you want. Subject, we'll call this safety. The grader is going to be someone, if you were using exam questions, it would be somebody that that would be in charge of grading those exam questions. Or the, not the exam questions, but the essays, somebody that would evaluate the essay. So by default, the user will be allowed to try this unlimited times. If we want to only grant the user one chance to complete this training, we select one attempt. If you leave it blank, it'll be unlimited. This will allow the manager and the user to view the test score. This will allow the review test. And this will allow the user to review questions and correct answers. If you only want the user to be able to review the questions only, then you would select this. If you want a lockout, let's say after 1 week, or after, let's say maybe 2 days, they'll be locked out. So if they don't complete the test, if they don't start it, after it's been assigned, 2 days after it's been assigned, they'll be locked out. So I'll click the next tab and this will take me to the structure. This is where I'll build the test. So we can set the time limit. If we leave it blank, it'll be set to unlimited. I'm going to set this to 10 minutes. I'm going to say my passing score, since I have 2 questions in here, I'm going to set it to 100. And then allow exit early. This will allow the user to come back into the test at a later point to complete it. And you can set the number of re-entries. So if you have a long test, it's like 100 or 200 questions, you can allow user exit and come back to it. And we can specify that, okay, once if they exit, they cannot re-enter.
I'm training with all those questions.
So the sections and questions, this is where we'll build the actual test. So the first thing we'll do is we'll add a section. And I recommend not putting more than 20 questions in a section. So if you do have something that that is, for example, 100 questions, I recommend breaking it down. The reason why is because if you put a section of 20 questions on a page, there's going to be 20 questions the user will have to submit, and then they can click proceed to go to the next page. So the questions on that page will not be submitted until the user clicks submit.
Right. Okay.
So for example, if you have like 100 questions on a page and the user's computer locks up or they lose internet or something, then they will have lost whatever work they've done. But if you break it down into sections, once they click submit on each section, it's going to give the answers they completed so far.
Why would you want to give somebody 100 questions, Dusty?
Well, you would be surprised. We have some long tests that we have built for clients because we use this testing engine as a knowledge assessment where
Exam?
Yeah, we have some tests that are several hundred questions that clients have had us build.
Oh,
Okay.
So I personally, I wouldn't want to do that. So if you want to add the questions, there's a little plus sign with the question mark. That's going to be the icon that's going to open up your question bank.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you had a bunch of questions in your question bank, you could select a category and then click search, and then it would list all the questions within that category.
Okay.
And then all you have to do, you don't have to click the individual plus signs unless you just want to add one of these questions and not the other. If you want to add all the questions, click add all 2 questions or however many questions are in that category, and it will automatically add it to your selection. And then click done, and it will add the questions to the test.
Okay. Gotcha.
And I'll click next and go to the next page. This is availability. You might be familiar with the way availability functions. This is going to specify who can search for this training. So if you are an administrator and you are going to be assigning this to users, then you at least need to have yourself set to availability. Otherwise, you will not be able to search for this training in the learning assignment tool. Does that make sense?
okay.
Availability.
So,
Admin. Right.
so this is going to allow Abdul to assign the training. If I uncheck include subordinates, if I left include as subordinates checked, then anybody under him would be able to find this training whenever they go to browse for training.
All right.
Okay.
Pricing, just skip that page, and then there's the confirmation page, and we'll click finish. And so that is your test. And you can print this if you want to look at it, or if you want to send it to somebody for their review.
Mm-hmm.
But this has not been assigned to anyone, so I can delete this test. I can also delete questions. One of the reasons why it's so important to make sure that you have the correct information is once the test has been assigned to a user, you can't edit the questions in the test, and you can't edit the test itself.
Right.
Okay.
So what would you do if you had an error? You would have to make a copy of the question and then make your correction in that copied question. And then you would have to reversion the test and then remove the incorrect question and replace it with the correct question. So it can be a little tedious if you need to make a correction.
Okay.
So do you have any questions about any of that? I know it's a lot of information that we covered in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's the good thing that you're recording it.
Yes, I'm recording it.
We can go over it, you know, on our own. But that's the best way for me to learn it anyways.
Yeah. But is
Yeah.
there a list of questions already on the system that we can select?
Yeah, I think we should.
It should have that.
Yeah. Isn't there?
Well, all the questions
That?
questions that you see are questions that are created by other clients. So unfortunately, I can't give you access to their information.
Oh.
So we have to create our own questions.
Correct. You have to create your own questions. If you were to hire us to build this, we could create this for you. It would be a custom contract or a custom job. But so yeah, you can add all the questions you want, and nobody will have access to your questions.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a
So-
specific thing.
So in the meantime, Dusty, we will you will have to work in terms of getting the users to go through all the questions before they reach to the exam, the test, and that change will be made for 2021, correct?
That
Yes.
is for the EHS.
Mandatory EHS only.
Yes. Are those the questions? Can you just so I'm sure, just so I'm clear, can you email me the list of courses that you would need updated?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, we will do that. But the only
And-
time we can do that is at the end of the year.
Yeah, I can have it done by the end of the year. That's no problem. One thing I want to ask is, are you going to want to keep the old versions as well? So you have one version that's restricted and one version that's not?
I don't know.
Well,
Something to think about. You don't have to answer now.
yeah, but I think there's value in keeping an old version until we decide precisely what it
Yeah.
is we would like to do moving forward. So in 2021, we have the new version where they must go through the lesson
Before.
before they do the exam, right? And those courses will come with their own questions.
Right.
Yes, I will have the questions.
Right, and they will have their questions.
Mhm.
And by that time, we should be able to
Yeah.
get back to you, if not before.
To see, yeah, which way we want to go.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, yeah, the courses would be named differently. The courses that have the higher restrictions would have Trinity in the name. So you would know that they're specifically built for Trinity power.
Right.
So you'd
Yeah.
be able to tell them apart.
Okay. I just running through back the customs report, Dusty. We have time for that, just briefly. If I
Sure.
go to customs report, I go to Trinity all training, and do I need to select the training time to be in that sheet also? How could I select that?
Do you want to share your screen so I can?
Oh, yeah, because I was wondering which screen
Oh,
I was looking up there.
how I could share that screen?
Oh,
Yeah, on a different computer.
Check
I
on
can
here.
show you how.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
show you how to add the column to your report.
Yeah, just briefly, so at least I'll know how to do it.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Okay. So if you go to reports and go to custom report,
Right, good.
What are you putting down there?
I'm going to open this old report.
Okay, open up the first report
Mhm.
in Excel.
So all you have to do is
Yeah.
find a blank field and just type in transcript time in training and then select
Time
that.
and training.
Do you want me to do it again?
Yeah, go back over one more time.
Yeah, you go on a custom.
Okay, so if you go to just a blank field or a blank column in the report builder, and
Yeah.
you can do time in training, and just select transcript time in training.
Right. Okay.
And so whenever you refresh the report, it's going to show the minutes. that
Right.
user has been in training.
Okay. Okay, good.
Mhm.
Okay, I think we should be okay there.
Yep.
That's all we need.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. And
Thank you. Yeah, I will email you the list of the courses.
I'm sorry, say again?
We're going to email you a list of the mandatory EHS courses.
Yeah, later on in the